Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? Man, it is a slam jam-packed week of podcasting. And you know why? Because the Detroit Lions are heading out to Green Bay, Wisconsin on Monday Night Football under the lights, and there's so much to talk about coming off the bye week. Our Lions playing pretty good football. You know, that record's not bad, but we would love it to be better. So I thought, why not do another podcast? One of my longtime good buddies, a guy that's a totally Lions diehard. I mean, he's always drinking that Detroit Kool-Aid, and couldn't think of a better guy to have on the show. So do a little bonus show for the Kool-Aid drinkers out there. I've got the big Hughes in the building. Hughes, what's going on, buddy?
What up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, tremendous. Just super glad I could get you on. I was like, man, before this game kicks off, I got to get Hughes on the podcast. And the main reason was because I don't want Hughes saying after the fact what he thought. I want to get it on the record. I want to hear from the man himself on how this game is going to go down, what kind of strategies he's looking at, how the Lions are going to get this dubski, as we say. And so I'm super excited to talk to you today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super pumped. The game's, about 74 hours away as we're recording on a Friday night. So just kind of tick tock till Christmas morning, man. But can't wait for the kick in Lambeau and just to watch all those Gouda heads cry themselves asleep.
Oh, that's an inside joke for all the people. Hughes used to always, like, when we lived in different cities, he'd call me 12 hours out and go tick tock tick, like, just so hyped for the game to get kicked off. So yeah, man, count down those hours, minutes, and seconds. So Hughes, we don't mess around on the Koolaid Cast. How about we get right into this thing?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Hughes, we could dance around. We could ask all types of other kind of meaningless questions, but let's just get right down to it. How are the Detroit Lions, the front four, the back end, T-Walk, and playing that back end of our defense, how are they going to stop the man we like to call AWOD, Aaron Rodgers, this clown, this jabron that's always back there dancing around, laughing, talking to the referees, throwing it all over the field, acts like he can't be ever stopped. Like, how are we going to deal with this guy? Because, man, would I love to shut him up in his own house. Break it down for me.
Oh, are you talking about the guy who chugs beer like a 17-year-old girl? That A-Rod?
Yeah, he's choking on a 6-ounce there in the front row. And yeah, that Rudy Poo. Yeah, that guy.
He's the guy ordering Michelob Ultra because he doesn't like the carbs.
I think he's doing Zimas, Hughes.
Absolutely. So here's the thing.
Jolly Rancher.
Is you and your counterpart on the show, I'm not going to name his name because, you know. But he's talked about a little bit of this one guy that we paid a lot of money to, hasn't really done much. He's just kind of getting his feet wet. Well, I'm coming on the podcast today saying that we are going to have an unbelievable coming out party on national TV by the one and only number 90 Flowers. Finally, he's going to play an unbelievable game, shut everybody up, put pressure on Rodgers all game long, and just make it a nightmare for him. So I'm calling it right now that this is the breakout game for Flowers.
Woo! Hughes, I love that you say that, and I love that you call Grifka on it, but because Grifka makes up that Lions contingent where if the guy doesn't blow up his first 3 games, he's ready to run him out of town on a rail. This guy got paid $90 million over 5 years. Hughes, this guy, when he has been in there, you see him playing the nose, you see him playing the edge, you see him all over the football field. He hustles. When I see him in the locker room answering questions, I'm like, I'm proud this guy's on our team. He's stout. He's big. He's got a little bit of quiet nasty in him. Like, I absolutely love this guy, and I'm totally unworried about the numbers, but I agree with you that, he's getting better every game, and this could be a game where he just gets after number 12 and puts him in the ground, as I like to say a few times. So love that take, man. I think, they're just going to have to keep him in the pocket. I don't like when Aaron Rodgers gets out of the pocket. I don't like when he, like I said, is able to dance around. Keep him in there, squeeze it, from the edges and from the DTs, get pressure up the middle. And I think as long as you get him off his spot, get him rattled, knock him down, even if you got to take a little bit of a penalty early, just get him flustered. I mean, the guy usually does not play that well then. He can get in his head, and he can be had, no doubt about it. So I think that's the big part of the game. We can just shut the show down, Hughes. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Flowers just rubs everybody. Game over, 35-0 Lions. Lets everybody go home. Goodbye.
Oh man, I wish it was that easy. I think this is going to be a great football game from top to bottom. I still pinch myself that I'm going to be there, and got tons of fun plans. So I think it's just going to be a great road trip. But Hughes, let's flip it on the other side of the ball. The Lions offense. I really think Matt Stafford's been really good. I've really liked what Bevel's done. I think we spread the ball, unbelievably. Just you look across the board, and we got guys that are catching 100-yard games. We got carry on starting to come on. All types of things like that. And I've just been really impressed. So what do you think about our offense in general, since we haven't had you on in a bit, and just what are they going to do in this game to give the Green Bay fits on the defensive side?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sure was nice, the Kansas City game, finally seeing what this balanced offense is that we've been hearing about for a long time. But, watching carry on just run up and down the field for 125 yards and Stafford throwing the ball all over the place to all these different receivers. It was great. And I just think if we keep that momentum moving forward into Green Bay, that should be able to have the same kind of effect. I mean, I feel like the biggest matchup for us is making sure we're keeping Preston Smith off of Stafford, because he's got a pretty good matchup against Ricky Boy over there on the right-hand side. So I'm hoping that, he has a big game and we keep Preston Smith off of us. And, I like our wide receivers compared to their secondary, and I think Stafford's just a smart guy. I mean, he's learning the offense pretty quick, and we keep carry on healthy, keep pounding the rock with him. I think we have a controlled game. Keep Rodgers off the field. Dubsky.
I like it, man. We've really seen the Stafford where he's still making those special throws, but he's also kind of, within himself. He's not just running around slinging. He looks really controlled. I've harped on the podcast a couple of times. I really do not like some of the sack fumbles where he's just not. Again, I'm more of a proponent of just cripple yourself and go down. If the pocket collapses, take the sack. We'll punt and move on. But sometimes when these guys are trying to make plays and they just let the football get out, just pull the old Peyton Manning, just fetal position, go down and live for another day. But I love what I've seen, and I think the Lions are going to be so tough if they can stay healthy, because I love that pick your poison. Like, all right, you want to deal with Kenny? All right, like we'll throw it to Hawk over the middle. You want to take away Hawk? We'll sling it to carry on out of the backfield. You want to take away those two? We got Marvin Jones on the other outside that can catch you short, deep, whatever it is. I think that's a winning formula in the NFL. Just being able to say, all right, you guys tell us what you want to take away, and then we'll go work off that, rather than, oh damn, they took away our one or two good players. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah, and without a doubt, and one thing that you can see a difference between this offensive coordinator and ones in the past is that, if he needs to make mid-game adjustments, he can make them. He's not going to just stick to the plan that he had. He will make them if necessary, if the defense is all over their plays. Like, they'll start running the ball, they'll play action, whatever it takes. And I mean, I feel like him and Stafford are on a pretty good clip right now, and, let's get it. Let's win. Holy moly, it's over.
There's been an incredible, hey, we have a, experienced offensive coordinator. It's been pretty, apparent from the get-go that there's a big difference between him and JBC, just from a, like you just said, adjustment standpoint. And, here's my Matt Pat, from adjustment standpoint, a play calling standpoint, running the ball standpoint, you know what I mean? Like, he's just got everything going for him. And I love it. I love watching this offense every Sunday. It's been much different, much better in my opinion. I think it's something they can sustain through the year. So let's keep this thing moving, Hughes. We've got Aaron Jones, this guy, blew up for 4 touchdowns. He cost me a fantasy week last week in my Pro Football Focus League, which that's a story for another day. But this guy's had a lot of talent from the get-go. They really split carries last year with Jamal Williams there. I think he's still out either with concussion or some type of somewhat major injury. So, this is pretty much the guy. They feature him. He can catch it. He can run it. He can hit the home run. He can grind out yards. I mean, he's a pretty tough football player to deal with. How do you slow him down, or what do you do with them trying to feature Aaron Jones probably against us?
I think this is a big game that we need out of old number 40, Jared Davis. We got him back from his injury. He didn't really play that great, as Griffith would say, over the last game that he played, but I feel like, getting him somewhat more towards 100% healthy and back in that defense and hoping that Snacks plays up to what Snacks can play up to and keeping those offensive linemen off Davis so he can roam free. I mean, if we get that, that was the strength of this defense, last year was our run stopping. We just haven't played up to the ability that we can yet. And you just have to hope that, with the repetition and the injuries that these guys get back to, what they can do and hope that Davis has himself a ball game.
Yeah, I like focusing on Jared Davis. Before I, give my take, if you're going to steal Grifka's catchphrase, you at least got to do it right. Can you give me you're not that great, Grifka style?
No. I'll do Grifka style like, well, he's not that great.
Okay, I really just wanted to bell you was the main reason, fine. But you know what is great, Hughes, is that we're 4 or 5 questions into this pod, and I'm not frustrated. I'm not having to yell. I'm not having to get after. I'm not having to deal with SOL or woe is me. I mean, that's been a nice change, I must say. It's fun when you get 2 people that believe in the team from top to bottom on a pod. It's pretty different.
Yeah, well,
All right. So Aaron Jones, I love that you circled JD, because to me, Jared Davis is a guy that, you look at his ratings, the PFF ratings and stuff, and you kind of can think one way or the other about the guy. I don't go into many football games where by the end of the game, I'm just shaking my head about Jared Davis or thinking that he cost us the game. If anything, he's just somewhat out of position every once in a while, or maybe you'd love him to just diagnose quicker, whatever the case is. But I think he's been completely fine overall as a football player. I mean, I notice him when he makes good plays. There's probably a play or 2 a game where I'm just like, oh man, maybe next year he'll make that play, not right now. But his speed's great. I think that, like you said, he's sort of that work hard captain in the middle of the defense, and I think he can kind of get after Aaron Jones from a speed perspective, as well as just being, in that middle, flashing from sideline to sideline and not letting this guy break any big plays. I mean, between him and Tavai in there, we got some thump and some ability. So, I think you're right to keep your eye on him. But like I say, I've never been a guy that's really that down on him. I don't expect him to make every play, but I also expect him to hustle his butt off, be out there and make the good calls and lead the defense. And he seems to do that, in my opinion. So
100%. And he's got to bring with him some, we'll use a little John Cena phrase here, some ruthless aggression, and just go out there and play like a madman.
Oh, absolutely, man. He's got to be like, we haven't seen the rush really this year, have we? Like he was really getting after the quarterback a little bit last year, which people got excited about, but I can't remember any sacks or where he just, what I love in the Patricia defense is when they're in the middle and then they just see something where like, okay, the running backs didn't break out and then they just shoot it, they just A-gap it and say, all right, I'm going to go get the quarterback then. I've seen that a couple times, but I don't know that it's got home from number 40, but I know a few other players have said, hey, screw it, I'm going to go get the quarterback, and they've got him down. Yeah. Christian Jones, Kennard's done that a couple times.
Yeah, so, I think Tavai's got a sack too. He did that.
Right. So, yeah, we'll see what he does, but a good guy to focus on is a key piece to this football game. You brought him up earlier, Hughes. We might as well circle back to the Smiths, as I like to call them. Mm-hmm. We got the 2 Smiths on each edge. I remember when, Green Bay signed those guys, as well as Amos on the back end. They drafted Savage. We kind of said, hey, they did upgrade their defense, and that's been the case. They've had a better defense. Hey, congratulations, Green Bay. You finally realized that you actually sort of have to play defense in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers is, not that great anymore. He's getting older, nearing the upper 30s, 40 years old. So like, yeah, that's helped their football team. But I mean, what do you do with the Smiths? You mentioned Ricky Wagner over there. I know a lot of people were beating up Taylor Decker. I really haven't heard his name called since he came back from, I think it was a back injury or whatever it was. I mean, he seems to be doing pretty decent. Stafford's got the time. He's always, says he's happy with his old lineman. But I mean, do you chip? Do you help? Do you just sort of say, hey, we're better than you to the Smiths? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I think initially you start with, hey, we're better than you. I mean, you got to kind of have that confidence in these guys. I hate to always bring it back to money, but when you pay Rick Wagner that kind of money, you have to assume that he can take on a Smith by himself. So I think that's the game plan you start with. And then if you realize that, hey, he needs help, that's why you got this plethora of tight ends that you signed with Logan Thomas out there, or TJ, or Jesse James to have a chip to help out with. But I mean, you're right. That's a young defense, but it sounds like Savage is going to be out. Jair Alexander's been playing good, but King on the other side's been struggling. So I think there's definitely opportunities for us to take advantage of some of the, pieces they have on defense. And then that Bumsky from University of Michigan, who hasn't done anything all year so far, is on that team. So, he might come away with something. But yeah, I think you start with just playing man up, and then if that can't happen, then you got to chip away with the tight ends or fullback, running back, whatever it is, just to give Stafford enough time, because I think there's definitely advantages to take shots downfield against this secondary.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I was a little distracted because I think, did you say the word struggling?
Struggling.
Did you happen to intimate that Rashawn Gary as an NFL player and maybe in college was, I don't know,
struggling?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they might have some challenges there too. And like I said, again, to not, but also beat up on Grifko. Like, he goes on this show every week talking about how bad Rick Wagner is and he's ready to cut him. Like, do you remember many times this year where we're just like saying, wow, Rick Wagner got his turnstile. He got beat up. Like, I don't even recognize him most weeks. Even Joe Dahl, I was all like, what are we giving Joe Dahl an extension for? And like, there hasn't been 1 week where I was sitting there just banging my head against the wall, like seeing Joe Dahl get beat like a, government mule out there. It's like, he's been fine. They've all been pretty fine. Taylor Decker had that one awful game. Oh my gosh, let's get rid of him. He had one bad game. It's called the NFL, right? Like, it happens,
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This is something, Hughes, when I looked back, this is funny. I looked back a while ago at like one of our first shows we did, just me and you working off like I don't even know what we're using, probably like Apple headphones just hooked into our phone at that point. Now we're souped up with a little bit better setup here. But one of our topics was the ceiling for Kenny Golladay. It's actually one of our most listened to shows of all time. A lot of people interested in that. And if you went back and checked that out. And I know me and you both had some interesting things that was sort of like as he was turning the corner and you were coming around on him and I was continuing to say, this guy's going to be the number one. He's got everything you look for. Like, talk to me about Kenny this year. I feel like he's still looked great. He continues to progress. He's big. He's physical. He's smart. He's humble. Man, I feel like this guy's going to be, a highly paid guy and just also a guy we want to keep around for a long time. I really like him in a Lions uniform. He's just got everything I look for in a football player that plays on the outside.
Yeah, and the one thing that I really like about Kenny is he seems to be consistent. Like, he's not one of these receivers that will flash you an unbelievable stat game and then like disappear for 5 or 6 games. He's somebody who will put up consistent stats, but more so what really sticks out to me is like the dude makes big catches when they need a big catch. Like, that's, to me, that's really what makes Kenny is that, like, if you need him to make a play or make a play on the ball, he will do it and he will make some unbelievable catches. He just gets up there with those giant hands and just grabs it and comes down with it. those two touchdowns, because I consider, well, actually, I'm going to say 3 touchdowns against Kansas City is just an example of them. I mean, how does the dude get his feet down like that? That's unbelievable. There's no way you can do that if you tried to, but he found a way to do it.
That is incredible.
Yeah, exactly, Jim Rome. And it's just like the growth that he has had, and was this year 2 or year 3 for him, is just unbelievable compared to like when he started.
Yeah, man, right there with you. I mean, like, I did bring it up, and like, I'll be interested to see. I mean, Bob Quinn has done so well with those meat and potato, like, first, second, third rounders that have all pretty much turned out are all starting. Like, I'm curious when Kenny goes to BQ and goes, where's my money? It's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to need dough, and yeah, we're in a good situation, but to me, Kenny's a guy you pay. He's a guy that you sort of take care of. I just even saw an interview from him just the other day, and I was just thinking, like, to me, this is the Lions' #1 guy for the next, 5+ years. You know how the NFL is short, so I'll say 5+ years. He's only going to get better. He's, like you said, go up and get it. The body control, the toe taps, the ability. He can even run and catch. People act like he can't separate. I mean, I see him run slants, catch it, get upfield. Swagger, but also like just that team guy, which is great. That's what you look for. So looking for big things from him. Hughes, we've talked in the past about Stafford having that signature win, or not being able to win against the big teams and the big spotlights. I mean, every time one comes around, we're kind of like, all right, this is the time he gets it done. Okri here in Seattle in the playoffs. No, it just got tore up. Here's the time against, so-and-so late in the season, Green Bay, that one year when we needed everything on the line, final game, doesn't get it done. It's not all him, but like, do you have a signature win for Stafford in your brain? And then do you think this sets up as could be one from him if he just goes in and plays great football and walks out of Lambeau with a big dub?
Yeah, I mean, there's really 2 Stafford wins that stick out. And unfortunately, they were almost like meaningless games. But obviously it's the Cleveland Browns game when he separates his shoulder and finishes the game. That sticks out. And the other one is the fake spike quarterback sneak against the Cowboys to win it. That's another one. But both of those games are at home. So one, I can't think of a signature road game because obviously, we know all the stats because we hear them every time anybody ever plays the Lions on the road, how terrible of a road team they've been the last 20 years. So there's no signature road game. And there really isn't a signature like national TV game. I mean, I guess you could look back to last year's New England game on Sunday Night Football. But like that wasn't because of Stafford. Stafford didn't take over the game and whatever. So like I wouldn't say it was that game. So this is probably could be a huge signature road game for him.
Yeah, man, I'm with you with those ones you brought up. The only bummer is like the one was over 10 years ago. The other one was probably 6 years ago. Yep. Just not these. I need late season W's when you're kind of back against the wall. I need, that playoff dub this year or next year. So, I mean, even this one would be nice, but it's still not getting us anything significant. It's not winning us a division yet, to put us in a better spot. I need to see him, that second or third to last game of the year. We need it to wrap up the division in a home playoff game to go ball out. I need to see him, we get in the playoffs, we got a game at Ford Field, and he just carries us to a dub, even if a couple people are injured. Like, that's what I'm looking for from him. But as we said earlier, I've loved what he's done this year. I'm not here to put too much on the guy because there's not much more than I could have expected or wanted this year, except for I hated that fumble inside the 10 that I thought really cost us against the Chiefs. But other than that, number 9 has been living up, and I would not mind having him as my quarterback for quite a while if he keeps this up.
100%. And like you said, I mean, a lot of these games have been October, November. There really been no December games. What was a couple years ago when they made the playoffs, they had the home game against Green Bay. If they would have won, they would have won the division, and they lost. So they've had chances to have big games, and they just haven't come through. So it's like when you talk about Stafford, that's as far as he gets. He hasn't been able to like jump over that hurdle yet of winning a big game, winning a playoff game, that kind of stuff. Like that's the next step for him. So I'm hoping it happens.
Oh yeah, it's got to, and to me, this is the first Stafford that we're seeing with the team around him. Not only a couple flashy offensive pieces. I mean, he's got a pretty grimy, athletic defense. Even the Tracy Walkers of the world, where me and you were kind of going, who or was that way too early? Like, I mean, that guy looks like a physical specimen and like a guy that you want to have in your playing safety position for quite a while now as a third round pick. So I think Stafford can look around, and he still has the arm, he still has the ability, the smarts, whatever. He's actually in better shape now than he was early in his career, and he's got a team around him. So just needs to sort of keep it going and like you say, kind of will his team to some victories, not only now, but later in the season. Would be great to see. So, Hughes, I got a few more questions for you. You got a little bit more time here?
Yeah, I got a few minutes.
All right. Before I get to this next one, I told Paul from Tampa I'd get him in here. He shouted out on the DKC listener line, had a little prediction. So I want to get Paul's call in because I told him I'd get him in here as well as get you thinking because that question's coming at the end of the day. So this was Paul. Everybody can call in the DKC listener line at 989-272-3484. But the only time I really like to call Hughes is when people get in way early in the week or even midweek and call their shot. I'm not a big fan of these people that will call after the game and complain or call after the game and say, oh, like I knew they were going to do this, right? You got to get ahead of the game. So this is Paul kind of calling his shot. Take a listen.
Detroit Koolaid. This is Paul from Tampa. I'm packing my bags for Green Bay, getting ready to tailgate with Oakley and Grifka. We're going to be pounding beer, grilling burgers, and slicing some cheese, baby. Matt Pat's got 2 weeks to scheme against these overrated Packers. Ron will be confused by the Lions defense so much he might think his family actually likes him. Yeah, he'll be that confused. My prediction, Lions 34, Packers 20. I see Danny Amendola getting 2 touchdowns, and the Lions also score a defensive touchdown. Roar! I'm out.
Now here's a couple things with that call. First of all, you gotta love 34-20. I mean that's not only bold, but that's good stuff. You gotta love a bold take of Danny Amendola coming off the pine, off the injury, and getting 2 tutties. That'd be great. And then Paul from Tampa going to be hanging out with us in the parking lot in Green Bay, doing all types of grubbing and hanging out and throwing the football. That's going to be incredible. Cannot wait to meet him, all his buddies. There's even been a whole bunch of other Lions fans that hit me up on Twitter. They're like, hey, we're going to be at the game. You guys got to come hang out. We love the podcast. So that's been awesome. But Paul from Tampa, don't think I'm not going to pull that roar out as a drop on the soundboard because, I mean, the roar was good, but it wasn't as good as one of Hughes' favorite guys on the show.
Roll Tide, baby.
That's right.
It wasn't as good as, good old Conrad.
Hi there. It's your boy Conrad down here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Conrad, you got to shout us out one of these days and get us on. You're like Hughes' favorite caller, man. It's crazy. So, you got those 2. You got the roar, and then you got one of my personal favorites.
This is Todd, and I'm out.
That's not my favorite Todd drop. Hold on. This is my favorite Todd drop.
Hello. My name's Todd.
I'm still trying to figure out how Todd went from hello to I'm out. But he went from one to the other in a call. So, Hughes, we're going to need your prediction at the end of the show. But you got any rebuttal to what you heard from Paul there?
No, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like you said, his roar was pretty weak. It's like when the baby lion on Lion King does it when his dad's trying to teach him. It's like roar. It sounded more like a cat than a lion, but that's okay. So that's all right.
Let's play one of my favorite games. What's better, the Paul from Tampa roar, which unfortunately I don't have locked up yet in the soundboard, or or one of my personal favorites, the Frank Ribble double wow.
Wow! 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 Wow!
That was the quad, actually. That was the quad wow.
It's almost like the same sound, but one is roar and one is wow.
It is similar. Wait till I get those in. We're gonna play those back to back all the time. It's gonna be roar, and then it's gonna be.
You're gonna have to quiz Grifka and see if he can name that caller.
yeah. Grifka, what is this guy saying?
Wow! Wow!
Roar!
He'll be like,
that's gonna be a good game.
He'll be like, I don't know. We missed a field goal, so I turned the show off.
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt. But Oh man, so yeah, Paul, appreciate it, man. Can't wait for the game. I'm super hyped. I know I've been chatting with you on Twitter saying, man, cannot wait to get in the parking lot. I'm looking to have all types of fun in Green Bay, and even if the team goes down early, you know me, I'm gonna be in that, 10th row off the field, whatever it is, just rooting on our team, ready to go. So, might have to put Grifka in a headlock if he starts complaining, but we'll see how that goes. Hughes, I got a few more for you. Lions defensive scheme. I mean, I don't even need to tee this one up. I mean, Matt Pat just drawing it up in the dirt, like putting some great game plans together. You got to love it and got to feel a lot more confident about him long term, the way he's been doing on the defense side of the ball.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, we already saw it with the Chiefs and the Colts game. I mean, the freaking Colts just replicated what the Lions did and shut down the Chiefs. I mean, the dude's literally a rocket scientist. So, like, there's no doubt that that's his strong suit, and he just has to become comfortable being the head coach. So, yeah, I mean, he can draw it up with the best of them.
No doubt, man. He's been great there. He's getting a lot of credit around the league for being able to do that. I mean, basically just knocking out fools from the defense side of the ball. Yeah. So I think he'll draw something up great in Green Bay. Hughes, again, love having you on the show, man. Season
Absolutely.
thoughts so far. We're 4 football games in and a bye week, heading into week 6. Ton of football left. What are your general overall impressions? I know we've been talking about the game, but also just want to take that higher view of what's your outlook on this team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when last time I was on the show, I did a 9-7, and you gave me crap for it. So obviously, the team is playing a lot better than I had anticipated, which is always great. But I also feel like how great they've been playing, they still haven't like put a full game together yet where you're like, oh man, this team is just rolling, which is even better because every game they've played, they've had a chance to win. So
Is this where I got to go off on you like I do on the other guy? Like you hit me with they're playing better than I thought, so that's a good thing. So that's when I call Grifka out for low balling everything, because then he can be happy when they're good. And then you also what was that second one you hit me with that was Grifka like just now? I'm forgetting. What did you just say? It was total Grifka.
That they haven't played their best game?
Oh yeah, you're going Grifka, acting like we should just roll out of bed and beat people by 40. Like,
no,
what
not
do you
at all.
want? What do you want? They've been playing good ball.
They've been playing good ball, but it just shows you like what the potential this team has. That it's not like 1 or 2 games that it's a flash in the pan that these guys are going to be good. It just shows you that we finally have a team that has long-term success in the future with a depth chart that can actually do something. We've had seasons before, right, where they started off good, but a couple injuries here or there, and our depth chart sucks, and the season's over with. I finally feel like Bob Quinn's put a roster together where, if something happens, where guys have gone down, like Amendola's been out, a couple other guys, Davis was out for a little bit, Flowers is 100% healthy, but we're still putting games together and we're playing, and we're just going to keep getting healthy. We're going to get Hand back. Slade's going to be back this week. I mean, we're getting guys better. And we have the depth and we have the personnel finally to be good for the long haul.
Okay, well, you circled back. I mean, I like that.
Cornbread!
And I like that now you're finally...
Drink it in, man.
But, like, you just got to understand, there's not going to be too many times this year where we just, play an incredible game from start to finish, and, going to beat a team by a good margin, then you're going to walk away going, all right, now I'm sold, because... No. It's the NFL. Like, every game is probably going to come down to the dang fourth quarter. I mean, I think I've had a couple heart attacks already this year with some of these ball games, and like, that's what's crazy and so great about the NFL is like it literally will be basically fourth quarter games, probably 3/4 of the season, to go. That we're just going to be 1 or 2 plays away either from victory or defeat, and that's what's crazy. So,
My point being is that they're finally in a position where they can get themselves to the fourth quarter and still be in the game. How long have we dealt with having 1 or 2 good quarters and then just being over with?
Oh yeah, well yeah, they got a solid team and they are playing better football, and like you don't want them to get either blown out or to have big I hate it when they have the big long touchdowns. You get like a 60-yarder against you, or you let somebody behind the defense, and they get a huge touchdown. But like I say, if they just play solid and the offense keeps doing what they're doing, I don't think you'll see any of those. But I also don't think you'll see any on the other side. So, I agree with you. It's good to be in football games, but I had to call you out on the Griff because I just don't want the fans and people to be thinking like until we beat the hell out of somebody, like we're not good. Like just win. I don't care if it's by 1 point or 30 points. Just get a W.
100%. And if you can't win, then just tie. Don't lose.
Yeah, I don't care, man. I'm not a big bummer over that tie. It was what it was. It wasn't a loss. So your whole 9-7, I mean, we know that's already wrong. So it's pretty much this.
It was a bad decision. Period. Point blank. It was the dumbest decision I ever made.
I could have went to the Grifka Waffle House and done 12-4, and then all of a sudden I'm going to say that they're 4-12.
Oh, that's true. I love the Grifka preseason where he just forgets about everything and it was all lathered up in Lions butter, and then the first play that goes against us, he just quits on the team and burns his jersey.
The first incompletion of training camp. That's it. This team sucks.
Yeah, I'm done. F this team. They suck. Hey, Grifka, you forgot you're on a Lions podcast called the Koolaid. You might want to be a little more optimistic, buddy. But yeah, it's like you said, the other thing to be aware of, it's early. Like we're playing good now. We got to continue to play good. So by mid to late in the season, we're saying, hey, everything's still on the table right now. I mean, I'm not talking this team up as world beaters yet, but I'm saying just keep playing like you're playing, and I think we'll have a really good, solid season to be proud of, no doubt. All right, Hughes, we got going a little bit there. Kind of quick on this one, but this is a question I always have to ask you when we get together. The draft class, that's our thing. We spend months and months talking about the draft, texting about the draft, doing our draft boards, doing the draft sheet, which everybody loved that we sent out on Twitter. I'm sure that will only grow. But what have you thought about this draft class overall, from Hawk at the top to some of the lower picks? Give me your general take, as well as maybe pick out a couple guys that have either impressed you or you think have high upside.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall I've been pretty impressed with the draft class so far. Obviously, Hawkinson came out of the gates swinging with his big game against Arizona, and we leaned on Tavai a lot with Jared Davis going down, so he's been playing good. But I think the one guy for me that kind of started slow, but like he's slowly working into better and better is Will Harris, man. I think he's been pretty impressive. Diggs got dinged up a little bit in the Kansas City game, and he came in and didn't make too many mistakes, and was around the ball a lot. So I've been pretty impressed with him.
Real quick, Diggs got dinged up. He had the bye week. I really haven't heard anything about him. I mean, I feel like he's been on the practice report. You think he's a good go for Green Bay, right?
Yeah. I think the only person that I think is questionable at this point is Hawkinson.
You do? I think he's a go, man. But
is he? Good.
Yeah, he's been practicing full. I think he just needs that doctor clearance, but I would expect him to be out there. But Q, when he went out of that game, was my big concern. He's pretty much one of my favorite players on the defensive side of the ball in the top three. I love Tracy nowadays, but Diggs is just so solid, as well as just such a baller. He's just that dog that I always talk about. I love that guy.
For sure, and it was incredible, like how he stepped up and stepped into the Glover Quinn role more so that like he took it over better than what Quinn was. I initially thought that we would miss Quinn when he retired, but I feel like Diggs just stepped into that role and has done incredible.
Yeah, I love him. I hope that's a guy we can keep for a while too. He's still decently young, as well as I think can only grow in that role. So I like what you're saying. I think Will Harris still has some room to grow, but like I told you, he's just really mature for his age. So he's coming along now, and he doesn't really even have a great opportunity the way Tracy and Diggs are playing. So he's kind of in on spot duty, but as long as he just continues to grow, keeps that good head on his shoulders, I think he'd be a good football player. And I'm trying to think. I was really disappointed in Travis Fulgham. He just really hasn't worked out. I mean, I want to hope he's still on that practice squad or can sort of hang in there. And, he had some developmental qualities. I didn't expect him really to come and take the world over, but I didn't expect him to be off the squad or do nothing either. So that's kind of been a bummer. But like I say, Tavai's impressed me. He's been better than we thought. I mean, just solid, big guy, just can move, good leadership. I like him a lot.
Yeah, and like you said on the show a couple days ago with Eric Schlitt, I'm like chomping at the bit to get Austin Bryant out there to see what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, I brought him in hand kind of to Eric,
Yep.
but then I also talked with Logan about him, and like Logan was like most people, just sort of like, well, I mean, he's down, he doesn't expect much, and I mean, this guy played for Clemson. This guy was a playmaker. This guy's a 290, 280 some pound outside backer / defensive end. I mean, they didn't take him in the 4th round and trade up for him for no reason. So I think that he's going to like impress because people aren't going to expect anything if and when he comes back. You know, like kind of, oh, Austin Bryant's back. Oh, no worries. And then he'll come out and make a few plays. I think that'll open people's eyes.
Right. And I agree. And I feel like Bob Quinn has kind of found a niche that he's comfortable with, going back to A'Shawn, where A'Shawn was a big school guy, you know, pretty hyped, and then draft day kind of slid. So that happened with A'Shawn. I feel like the same happened with Sean Hand, and the same happened with Bryant. Like, you know, defensive tackles from big time schools who at one point or the other were ranked pretty high, but then just kind of slid down the board as the draft process got closer and closer. But, you know, we continue to grab those guys and have had success with them. So I'm sure that Bryant will be the same.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, A'Shawn and him are different players. I mean, I could see, you know, Bryant being a nice backup to Kennard, you know, just being a guy that's bigger, stout, can kind of move around, but also can be on that jack or be a hand type, put him at the edge, maybe move him inside, kind of move him around. He's a big dude that can move, which, you know, again, that this defense obviously, you know, covets those type of players, where other players, they want those, you know, 100 or 220 pound linebackers. You know, we're getting these big nasty beasts and making it hard to run against them. So yeah, I'm with you on all that. I think it's been another good draft class. I mean, when Bob Quinn hits in the first 3 rounds, I mean, that's pretty money right there. I mean, these guys are starting, as Eric said, you know, they got a role for them. They got plans for these guys. They're fitting the scheme. They're good guys, which again, I know me and you talk sometimes about like not wanting to be choir boys, not wanting to be this, that, and the other, but there is something to be said about a guy that comes in as just a team guy, as a hardworking guy. You know, that's pretty invaluable too when you go ahead and look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Excited about this class. Hughes, final question, man.
Yeah.
You heard Paul. You've heard me talk about it. I got a ton. I don't know if you were following them, but I shouted out on Twitter, give me your predictions. And, man, the Koolaid Cast you know, fans and followers came through huge with tons of predictions. Of course, I retweeted the W's. I didn't retweet the Grifkas where people were like, oh, my brain tells me I think the Packers will win by 7. Yeah, I left those just sit there because nobody wants to hear that. But Hughes, the floor is yours. I want you to sort of lay out your score, but also how you see this game going down. So if it happens that way, and give you mad credit.
Yeah, so I think it's something that you talk about a lot, and we talked about a little bit in this show, is that they're never going to be a perfect game. So there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, no doubt. So there's going to be great plays that the Lions make. There's going to be terrible plays that the Lions make. There's going to be touchdowns for the Packers. There's going to be touchdowns for the Lions. It's just ride the roller coaster till it gets to the end. And at the end, when the bar pops open and you step off the roller coaster, you're looking at a 24-17 Lions victory. Woo!
Oh, baby!
Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Woo! Stafford!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Oh,
Keep
the mega mix, Hughes. Oh, yeah, I love it. I mean, just so many good sound bites, so much good positivity from you today. I mean, me and you know this is a huge football game. It's a division game. It's on the road. It's under the lights. It's national TV. I will be there in person. Grifka will be there. Paul from Tampa, the Crack Man, a whole bunch of other people that hit me up on Twitter are going to be there rooting on our Lions. I mean, just so hype, you don't even understand. So cannot wait. Also just loved having you on the show, man. We don't get to do this a ton, but when we do, it's super fun to chop it up, talk Lions, drink that Detroit Kool-Aid, and just be rooting on our team, man. This is our squad. We've had a lot of ups and downs with this team, and we feel like now they're turning that corner and they have good football players, and we want to embrace that, man. So just hopefully they come up with some dubs and keep that record where it needs to be, and we want that NFC North this year, right? No doubt.
No doubt. And it starts with Monday, man. We got to get this Dubski.
Got to get it. So Hughes, thank you so much, man. Everybody, this was a bonus show. I thought we'd give you something for Sunday morning when you're sitting around going, damn, I still got, as Hughes would, he's got the countdown clock, probably 23 hours to ball game when you get up there and get rolling on Sunday. So, hang in there, enjoy football, and by Monday night, they'll be kicking it off in Lambeau, and we're going to get this dubski at Hughes said. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for supporting. Take care. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.